LCP Indy ongoing team, September 25th, 2012, didactic on power. All right, guys. Usually I start off with a misery question. I want you to start off with a inspirational question this time. So I want everybody to go around the horn, and I want you to answer this one question. When you think of the most powerful person that you've ever met, and you can't say Jesus because that's when in Sunday school, we always say Jesus, but we know that. But a powerful person in your past could have been a coach, teacher, a parent, could have been somebody with even negative power. I'm just interested in power. Will you experience them in some way in your career, in your life, in your family? Excuse me. And what it was about their power. So who they were and what it was about their power that you were able to experience its strength. Okay? Start with Chris. We'll go counterclockwise.
I'm still trying to understand the question. What you experienced about it and what it did to you? Or?
No. First, who it was,
Mm-hmm.
and then what was one thing about them that let you know they were powerful. One thing about them, their actions, their behavior, their attitude, that conveyed their power to you. Because there's lots of different kinds of ways power is conveyed. Does that help?
Mm-hmm. A guy named Chuck, he owns a bunch of dollar loan centers, and when he could get Alice Cooper, Kiss, Night Ranger,
The Gaither family.
Yeah.
I mean, the musicians of our faith.
Yeah.
Kiss,
Yeah.
Alice Cooper, and Gaither. I love this jam session.
He got them all together in one room and did a concert. I was like, that guy's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So
Great.
the ability to bring those all.
You
those
saw the
together.
fruit of that. Good.
Yeah.
Steve. Sammons.
Jim Cymbala.
Yeah.
He's kind of a quirky. Outside, he kind of quirky. You wouldn't pick him out of the crowd saying you're unique. But once you start to see Christ living out his life, it's like, wow. I wish I could do that.
Yeah, symbol is a wow. Definitely. Al.
My dad. He just, shit happened when he was around. Bad, good,
But
you knew he was there.
when he was in the room, you knew.
Everybody knew.
Good. Richard.
Multiple people. I think the first guy that I met that was a CEO of a business had been at it for 15 or 20 years, long enough that he'd screwed up and lived through it. Quiet, stable, reflective in that way that nothing threw you off. It was okay, stop, listen, metabolize, then figure out.
So his strength was more of a quiet strength. Good. Maurice.
I would say Connie. The unknown, you do not want to go there.
Okay, that's good.
That has great power.
But it's negative power.
Right. It's negative power, but it's still power. There's a shifting of
Yeah.
movements. Good. Okay. Alex.
A guy by the name of John Guest. He just had huge influence, made big things happen, and when he was in the room, things happened, and then it seemed like people would just take the hill for him, just for whatever.
He had that ability to attract loyalty at levels that other people don't do.
Right.
It's a good sign of power. Thomas.
I have quite a few, but the first one that popped into my mind is Joanne McAndrews, and I worked for her for about 2 years. And the amount of power that she had around fear was amazing to her 200 plus employees at the company.
That she could instill fear,
With just her presence. Was
and
amazing.
that created,
A very negative environment.
Right.
But
but that was power.
oh my word, was it powerful.
Okay, good. Good. Jeff.
A guy by the name of Paul Miner was the president of Firestone Building Products, and he took Firestone from a regional roofing company to the largest manufacturer in the world of roofing. But he was a tyrant, and so he abused power. A brilliant guy, but he abused power, which eventually backfired on him.
Okay. Work the other way.
Yep.
Okay, good. Steve.
a cardiovascular surgeon by the name of John Ish, who it was just amazing when he would, when you think about it, cracking open someone's chest and then going through all this microvascular thing, and the surgeries are 4, 5, 6 hours long, and then taking it from the very beginning as a team leader, the general in the operating room, to maneuver through this morass of different types of things that might go on, and to do it in such a way that they were totally confident in it. Was just, and people respected him, but he didn't lord it over people, but he was just huge in that way to me.
So you saw both his technical ability and his ability to have power over a team as well.
Absolutely.
He was doing both at once, which is very rare. Okay. John.
Wow, I was really digging on this one. Because the guys that used to influence power in the business world, and this is going to sound really browniesy weird, but you, because of your ability to relate, use humor, and help, but you don't lot it over people either. And so that's real power. That's a power in a real tangible way. So
Okay. Well,
throw that out there.
Thank
So.
The reason I kind of wanted to get this out here, guys, is because when we first think of that word, we think of either, if you go into your younger self, you think about somebody who yells, or somebody who is forceful in a physical way, and that's true when you're young. But as you get older, power has nothing to do with how much you yell or anything like that. It has another equation. So my takeaway, or my goal for this didactic, is that you'll come away understanding power and understanding how you can increase your own. Okay? Very simple. The passage is one of my favorite passages. One of the best leadership books in the Bible is 2 Timothy. And Paul's telling his mentee, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power and love and self-discipline." So God is pro-power. By the way, just as an aside, whenever you read the Bible, read it word for word. Don't just skim it. A lot of guys, when they get busy, they'll try to read 3 chapters and just kind of skim over stuff to get their... If you don't have much time, read one verse. But it's called the Word of God for a reason. It's not the thought of God, it's the Word of God. So if I've only got, if I'm shaving, I'm in my car, I've only got time for one verse, really read that verse. Don't read like 2 chapters and kind of what was that about. So get more mileage out of your Bible by like understanding word for word for word. That's really where the transformation comes. It's just kind of that's kind of a neurological piece of it, is what you would pay attention to stays with you. So don't feel bad because you didn't read 3 chapters. Feel good that you read one verse. Right? First of all, in your handout, the definition is the capacity to change the environment. That power is really about the shifts things make. Powerful people, when they are in an environment, a work environment, a relationship environment, a church environment, an organization environment, something they do with their behavior or their attitudes or their thoughts or their culture makes a difference to it. So what I want to do is for all you physics majors and engineers, I'm going to put this in terms of a physics equation, because I think physics really has the best understanding of power. And this gives us something to work with. It's basically, it's an energy construct. Take energy, and energy over time leads to, math is the leads to with the arrow, work done. I think this is extremely helpful for us as leaders. Energy divided by time leads to work done. That's a measure of power. Because I know people with lots of energy, but they don't get stuff done. They're always good starters. They're good get it going. They got great mojo, but something happens and they don't get things done. And I know people who've got lots of time and aren't getting anything done. But if you've got energy that you're putting over time, good things happen. I'll give you an example. When you look at the physics, there's different ways that you measure power. For example, what about your car? How do the manufacturers measure your car? Horsepower. So a car going with 350 is going to get the work done in less time than a car that's got 200 horsepower. Or how about these bulbs here? How do you measure power with these bulbs? Watts. And the idea is, let's suppose I'm going to take a box of, I don't know, old clothes up to my attic and go upstairs. So it's going to take, I got this box of clothes and it weighs 23 pounds. And I'm going to go upstairs. It can take me 12 seconds to walk upstairs, or it can take me 2 minutes to walk upstairs. Either way, I've gotten the work done. But I've used more energy, right, if I took less time, or I've used less energy and got more time, to save more time. Either way, the work's done. The reason that's important for us is that this is all we've got. All you've got to get your life done, and your growth done, and your relationships done, and your company done is energy and time. So I want us to use that to think about how you do this, right? Some of you guys need to be more allow basically more time to pass to let your energy metabolize, to be more of a long-term thinker. Or some of you guys are pulling back on your power or your energy because you've got conflict about it, or you feel like you don't want to hurt people's feelings, you don't want to change things too fast, and you need to be more forceful. But always look at it as energy over time. It's just a good way to understand power. Any questions about that?
It's interesting.
Are you saying that, the one thing I was wondering, are you saying that if I take my energy divided by time and the work I get done, I'm going to be more powerful if I'm getting more work done, less energy, less time?
Yeah, think of the ways you can increase this. Now on a math level, there's two ways you can, if work's done is like a 5 and you want to go to a 10, there's only two ways that you can tweak this fraction to get more done. What are they?
Top number bigger or bottom number smaller?
I either increase this or I make this smaller. Right? So some of us go, I got lots of energy, but I'm not doing the time thing right. Some of us go, I've got time, but I don't have the energy thing right. So either way, the way you want to increase your productivity or your goals, your mission and vision, is these are your two things you've got to do. Make sense?
The other piece, what you triggered in me was the other piece on, as I listened to each of you guys, your styles. There will be some people's styles that will be, let's say, more organized and they accomplish things, and so you'll use less energy and time. There will be others that very verbal, very relational, and scattered. So your styles can help that also, so that you're evaluating work done. If it takes so much more time and so much more energy, I'm not as efficient. That was the other piece.
Yeah, there's an efficiency piece because you got to define work done correctly in order to get the other two variables.
Exactly. It's whatever the task or business or cultural dynamic on the work. So now you say, well, there's different styles of this. I mean, I love I love strengths finders because they've done, I don't know, over 100,000 interviews by now. But remember, strengths finders, there's different styles of using your power as a leader. There's the style of having good strategy, right? Getting things done by good strategy. There's the getting things done by relationship. This is the person that can make the big plan and the big picture and follow that through. This is the person who connects at very deep levels and makes people feel included and like they belong and is warm. There's the person that's the influencer, who knows how to set people on fire and get them challenged. Chris Neal's still one of the few people I know that has all 5 of his strengths finders in the influence category. Don't buy a car from this man. There's the execution piece of, okay, you guys are the glamour boys over here, but I'm the get it done. I'm the guy. My father used to say, son, there's 2 kind of muscles. There's show muscles and work muscles. He'd say, who's got the work muscle here where, okay, everybody looks great. I'm the one that's going to clean up here and get it all done. These are all power dynamics. So you've got to find out where your space is to use those things. But this is how work gets done. This is how organizations get done. This is how problems get solved. 3 reasons that the leader needs power. The first one in your handout is casting vision. And what I meant by that was that people need a leader who says, I am going to take you beyond yourself. You know, the more I study leadership, that's really a key part of this is people need to be with somebody that says, I'm going to take you beyond where you were. Like your coach, remember we talked about that last month, your football coach who said, I know you put out 100%, but I want 120%, and then you did it, and you went, I didn't know that was in there, and you pushed harder, is one reason you need power is because people need to be stretched so they go, I didn't know I was capable of that. I didn't know I was capable of putting that sale out, or I didn't know I was capable of having that conversation, or of working harder than I ever thought, and staying up nights, and staying on weekends. Vision's about getting people so excited about being in a movement of something that matters to them that they do stuff they had no idea they were capable of. That's a power dynamic. The second one is movement. And what I mean by movement is, look, think about physics again. How many of you do have a physics or engineering background? I think a significant amount of you guys.
Every one of us. Yep, you nailed that one.
All right. Okay, it's the right brain group. I remember that now. Usually,
Science school, yeah.
All right.
Physics, chemistry, biology.
Geology.
All right. If you've got a ball that weighs 5 pounds here, and it's sitting still, and you want it to go that way, and you got another ball that's moving, but it's kind of going that way, and you want to transfer it to go the right way, which takes more energy to move down that way?
The one that's sitting still.
Why is that? That's the right answer. Why is
An
that?
item at rest contends to remain at rest.
Oh, stop.
The influence guy knows this stuff.
Body and motions.
It's all about inertia. It takes more energy to move the body at rest toward the right direction than diverting and changing direction. Power is about getting your people moving. The Marines have a great statement. They say a bad decision is better than no decision. And so if you've got your people moving, even if it's the wrong way, at least they're doing something. And organizations and leadership are about movement. Okay, so power is a way to get things shifted. That's why when you guys went, like you talked about your dad, I went in a room and I didn't know if it was going to fall apart or because something good was happening, but there was movement. And that always creates the space for moving in the right direction. And the third is the influence zone. And that's just a term that I like to use, meaning that I think guys need to own how much difference you make to people you're with. One thing leaders don't understand is you'll make some chance comment and you can change somebody's life. When it comes out of you, it's kind of a throwaway, but how many of you had the experience somebody comes up a few months later and says, you know, when you noticed that thing about what I did, either you went, you're really good at that, or you really missed a spot, and they'll say, I thought about that for a week, I kind of mulled it over, I got upset, or I felt great and it changed some decisions. How many of you had that happen? I've had that happen so many times. And it's like you go, I kind of halfway remembered it was sort of a throwaway. You have to own in a leadership position how much power you really have. Jesus was very, very clear about his words. Every word counted. And you are an influence. So own your power. With people that you matter to, either by they work for you or in your family or their friends, realize I think it's like a 3x. When it comes out of you, it's probably 3 times more powerful than you thought it was. And so, be aware of that. I mean, it doesn't mean kind of be afraid to say anything, but you have more influence with your words than you think you do. So those are the reasons this is important. Now I want to talk about...
John, can I jump in real quick to integrate? I just want to integrate switch. Just real quickly, the whole thing of this vision thing.
Which is our book that's due to talk about today.
Yes. Let me just see if I can get this. It did work. Killing me, man. Oh, that's because there's nothing in. Okay, it would help if this were okay. He talks about, real quickly, the elephant, the rider, and the path, okay? And so, as we influence, we're trying to direct, the rider is more the intellectual, logic, giving you reasons. Elephant is more the emotional part. And in the path, we can actually change circumstances to really help some of the motivation. So, the one thing that he talks about in directing the rider, goes with the vision, is we've got to have a postcard destination. And instead of these BHAGs or SMART goals, he talks about GSG, gut smacking goals. And so the thing is, you talk with your people as you've got to find something that is a gut smacking goal that hits them emotionally along those lines, that it's something near. And it can be motivating not just to the rider, but to the elephant side. Otherwise, you're going to get all headwise, and you're not going to get it along those lines. So
And you won't get the performance.
absolutely. So we've got to change it and think about what is going to be gut smacking, what is going to be relevant to their needs. I want to show you this clip from Dead Poets Society. 4 destination postcards of different classes, okay? You see what the first 3 classes are and see what Robin Williams, and he has this gut-smacking goal. And which class would you be more motivated in?
Run the project list and report on them every 5 weeks. The first 20 questions at the end of chapter 1 are due tomorrow.
There's one.
Agricola, agricola, agricolae, agricola, agricola. Precision.
Here's the second. This is the third.
Anyone failing to turn in any homework assignment will be penalized 1 point off their final grade. Let me urge you now not to test me on this point.
See the fourth. Figure out what was gut smacking. He's teaching literature.
Well, come on. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Who knows where that comes from? Anybody? Not a clue. It's from a poem by Walt Whitman about Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Now, in this class, you can either call me Mr. Keating, or if you're slightly more daring, oh, Captain, my Captain. Mr. Fitz, will you open your hymn notes to page 542? Read the first stanza of the poem you find there.
Diversions to make much of time?
Yes. Come on. Somewhat appropriate, isn't it?
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, old time is still a-flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem. Now, who knows what that means? Carpe diem. That's seize the day. Very good, Mr. Meeks. Meeks. Another unusual name. Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Why does the writer use these lines? Because he's in a hurry. No. Ding! Thank you for playing anyway. Because we are food for worms, lads. Because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. I'd like you to step forward over here to peruse some of the faces from the past. You've walked past them many times. I don't think you really looked at them. They're not that different from you, are they? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait until it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. If you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in. Listen. You hear it?
Obviously.
So what was the gut-smacking goal that was his vision in literature? It's more than that.
Possibility.
He came up with making your life extraordinary. And so instead of just having numbers, we want to have so many cows this, we want to have so many roofs, when you create vision, that's not going to motivate them. My challenge to you is figure out your vision in something like that that's gut smacking. Very, very difficult. But you would see at the end, they are so engaged in literature, high school kids, because the goal was, I'm going to seize the day and get my life extraordinary.
That's good.
As opposed to the other three classrooms. So that's really difficult, but that's the kind of vision you've got to redo, not just numbers or stuff like that.
Nice guy.
Very
Really-
nice.
Good. Really powerful. Really helpful. And part of your work with LCP can be, we can help you craft that. It's work. To do that for yourself and the people you're trying to influence, we can help you craft that. It takes a lot of thought. Once you do it, it's great, but it's just harder than saying we want to make the best widget in the world. Okay? All right. Now, where does power come from? Well, when you look at the developmental literature of, like, humans, it's got to have several elements, and the first element is the element of safety, or a foundation of grace. In other words, we come out of the womb, we have no power. Babies have no power. We are just a kind of a mass of protoplasm in need, and there's one person who gives us the power. Who gives us the stability to know that we can make it in life. We don't go psychotic, and we function. And we have homeostatic equilibrium. And who is that?
Mother.
Mother is the foundation of all life, and you have to start off with power, with safety, because power involves you changing things and pushing against things, and if you're not safe inside, you can't do it. That's why we talk so much about how a lot of you guys have real performance orientations, and inside, you know, you're kind of like, I'm not sure I'm good enough, or I'm not sure that I'm loved enough or smart enough. And if you don't have the foundation of safety, when you start pushing people and organizations and start challenging things, and if there's pushback, you're going to crumble inside. So we all have to have that very sort of solid foundation of, I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm okay. It's the place to start for power. That's how children, the first year of life is nothing but take in, take in, take in, because I'm building a foundation that no matter what, I know I'm okay. But then it goes to part two. In part two, it says pushing against the external. And after the first few months of life, children develop a word that mothers hate, and it has two letters.
No.
And that word is no. And that's when mothers kind of go, God, I wish I could send this one back because they were so loving and needy and kumbaya. And now they're kind of flipping me off and they don't like this and they're wiggly and they push away and they have tantrums and all this. Well, God made that whole process for the child to develop power, the safety to say, I'm not you, Mom, and I don't see life the way you do it, and I don't like a lot of things you do. I don't want to take a nap now. I don't want to be held now. I don't want anything. I remember when our kids were that age, and they got a little older, I'd say, what do you want? They go, I don't know what I want. I know what I don't want. They were nothing but no for a while. There was no way to say, what do you want? Because all they were a big no. And that creates a great thing. It creates a thing that psychologists call conflict-free aggression, where you take that newfound energy and power you have and you start doing things with it. Because God gave us two drives. The two drives are the drive to connect. We are built to connect, and we were built to take initiative. You and I have these two sources of motivation in us. The first one is I want to love, I want to be loved. I want to love God, I want to love my spouse, I want to love my friends, I want to love my kids. I'm a connector, but I have a second drive, which is to take initiative. Love and work. This is about love and this is about work. Or in the very beginning, God told Adam and Eve, they were supposed to have a relationship with each other, but there was also a garden to tend. So humans just have these two pushing drives. When you've got this one going, that gives you what you need to do the taking initiative, and that's what creates conflict-free aggression. Have you ever known somebody that was hesitant about making a decision?
Yes.
Or an initiative, or kind of like getting ready to spend the money, or have the big conversation, or jump off the diving board, and they were sort of in this kind of mode. You might have had this experience. That's what we call aggressive conflicts. When they know what they need to do, and they need to push really hard and have the tough talk, and something stops them. Their aggression's in conflict. Well, when the connection part's there, their aggression has much more free flow. That's where all that boundary stuff came from, is like, how do we give you the power and the permission to say the hard stuff, to say no when you need to do, to push yourself, push other people, and challenge?
Isn't that about 95% of the population?
It's a lot. Well, here's the funny part. The part of the population that has conflict-free aggression is busy rescuing other people who have no conflict with aggression.
Interesting. That's interesting.
There's a dance people do. When I'm afraid of my power, I go rescue a drug addict or a narcissist or somebody who's irresponsible, and they're fine with their aggression. They're doing whatever the heck they want to. They can leave carnage and upset people, upset relationships, and we go in and try to clean up after them. It's a little like a Odd Couple with who are the two guys, Felix and Oscar? Which one was the obsessive? Felix, sort of always shaking, and Oscar's all over the place. One's always rescuing the other.
So why isn't the conflict-free aggressive guy healthy? Why is he a fixer?
Why is the
conflict-free aggressive guy that should be healthy to have conflict-free aggression? Why am I fixing?
Because
instead of just
I'm going a little bit technical here, because of a dynamic called projective identification. I seek outside myself what I do not possess inside myself.
Okay.
If I have conflicts with my aggression, I'm kind of afraid to be out there. I'll find some lunatic and be drawn toward them because at least they have the aggression I need. They're doing
You're losing me just a hair here. Explain that just a little bit.
I seek
really important.
I seek out that which I do not possess, and I seek it in other relationships. If I don't have access to my aggression, if I don't have access to my power, I find people who are out of control and try to fix them because it's my way of dealing with myself.
I get close to the anger in them that scares me. It doesn't scare me as much in them.
So
I
I'm
think
drawn
it's
to
not-
people who are irresponsible, people who are out of control, people who are highly self-centered, people who are rageaholics, and I go, I'm really concerned about this person, and I put way too much time and way too much energy in fixing and being wise for them because they have something I want. It's a projective identification. It's a very, very powerful dynamic of, since I'm afraid to look at my own aggressive, pushing parts, I'm afraid I might get out of control. I'll find you and try to fix you. Look at Heather Locklear and Tommy Lee, stars from the 80s, back in the day, right? And she was the good girl. She was beautiful and she was perfect. And then she hooks up with Motley Crue, and everybody's like, what's that about? It's about this. She was seeking something she was afraid to have in herself, so she found some out-of-control drug addict. And they spent so many years trying to fix and redeem him, and it never worked.
And so what they're really wanting is the freedom to do whatever they want.
What we really want is the ability to be aggressive, but we don't want to pay the price for it. Of possible conflict, of saying the wrong thing, of people being mad at us, of people having wars with us. So we stay very checked and balanced and very careful, but we go find somebody out of control.
And the same thing is true that if you are afraid of intimacy and vulnerability and warmth and feelings, you often will then marry or get close to someone that has those things.
Yeah.
And that you don't.
We're just drawn to that.
And then you got a lot of work to do in counseling.
Much better
after the honeymoon's over. Yeah.
Right. It's workable, but you got to look at where this comes from. Third part of this is then people who learn power after you've had the safety and you've begun to develop how to push against the external. Then you got to normalize risk, and risk becomes a way of life. You know, there's a difference between a risk and a gamble. I mean, a gamble is when you just throw in the dice and you don't know what's going to happen. And a risk is when you've thought about things, you've calculated things, and basically all life is a risk. I mean, think about how comfortable people were in the Bible. Nobody's comfortable in the Bible who gets anything done. Abraham's got to leave a good situation and go to this new place. Jonah's got to go to Nineveh and preach to a bunch of people he thinks need to be condemned. So, he's out in the boat. Peter has to, jump in the water. So the model in this Bible is that risk is a way of life. Sometimes we call it the faith life. But people who have power have normalized risk. It's not sort of... I love the way Rick Warren talks about this. He says that he used to look at life like, well, there's the roller coaster. There's the ups of life, and then there's the downs of life. And the ups of life, and the downs of life. And then he says, I changed it. It's really a train. Like and the train's got two parts of the track. On the left side of the track is the good times. On the right side of the track is the bad times. And they're always there all the time. He says that's a better view of life.
Yeah.
I don't think you go far enough in normalizing risk. It's dealing with the screw-ups that come along with that.
Say more about that.
So the fact that because you can have a position of understanding risk and taking calculated risk, but you always have a fear of something that stops you from going. So if my risk level is a scale of 1 to 10, I only go to 4 because I'm afraid of coming off the track or getting on the side of the track that has the dummy whackers and all of the wipeout stuff.
Right. And then you start to realize all of us sort of need to be on the edge all the time as leaders. And there's got to be a little of that, here we go. And if you're not, you're really not alive. There's an adrenaline. I don't mean like go into stress mode and totally flush your adrenaline glands. You'll burn them out and you'll need surgery and medication. But there needs to be a little, here we go, all the time in your active like work life, service life, relational life. That's what life is about, is I'm a little out, almost over the diving board. That's a good place to be. That's what normalizing risk is about, as opposed to, I can't wait till this is done, then I can drink lemonade and go to, Tahiti for a year. Then you're dead. I mean, I love travel and I love lemonade, but that's not the norm.
So with what Richard's talking about, if he has a person that's like that, is kind of afraid of risk, have you found ways that, besides just, okay, we have to be on the edge, telling him that, are there emotional, relational ways that he can help that person be more comfortable with risks that scares them?
Yeah, you got to look at it. What do they not have? I mean, if that person is risk averse, we call that risk averse. It probably means in one of those three places, either the safety foundation, or the pushing against, or the risk has not been normal. It should be normal. It means they missed some developmental steps, and the boss or the leader has got to come in and shorten the developmental steps. So it might be that person doesn't feel safe, and you have to be the one that says, I'm with you even if you do this, and we'll jump off together, and all of a sudden they're not alone. Or maybe they have never pushed against something, and that's when you've got to say, I think that you are way more full of potential than you think you are. And I'll be with you, and I see things in you. And that's it's kind of like you've got that, we all have that sort of nurturant part to us, and then there's that challenging coaching part. And our people need both sides of us. Does this person need like comfort right now to know they're not alone? Or do they need, hey, you're sort of being a wuss now, you can do more. That's what good leadership's about, John.
So is this when I've got someone that's and I've been this way, I'm going to take a huge amount of business risk because I'm taking no emotional risk. I'm replacing one for the other. And so guys I'm working with that are just taking huge business risks. When I ask them, if you told your wife you loved her, and said, well, I told her 10 years ago when I married her, like they won't go. Like it's hugely risky. Mm-hmm. Is there a replacement thing that goes on? Because we need to feel alive, but that juice for me died because I just couldn't get enough juice in the deal. Yeah. It needed to be somewhere else.
Fortunately, power is generalizable from category to category. So if they have the power to do those big risks in business, you can help them go over. It's basically a fear of loss of love. You can move them into that. But if they've got power for one, they've got power for the other. You can assume that there's enough in the battery. Okay.
And Richard, like you said, if the developmental need is there's no safety, and you tell them, okay, I'm in there with you, or you can create an experience. And I look for when they mess up, instead of me withdrawing or getting angry, I draw it close so they experience, okay, I can risk and fail and okay. Or if they're missing that pushing against, that separation piece, I actually look for ways that they might get frustrated with me to allow that anger to come out and be okay. That will kind of change, that's one thing that will change that piece is look for that, or when they take initiative, jump on and kind of accelerate, really reinforce that. Experientially, that might help when you have people who are risk averse and
Can you elaborate how you would?
What the conversation is?
Yeah.
Which one?
Where you said sometimes I try and make them angry. Is that what you said?
I don't make them angry. I look for opportunities. And so, like if John's, hey, we're supposed to go in this way, but you didn't kind of touch base with me. I would then say, so you're I can see you're kind of frustrated with me because I really didn't follow through, and that kind of bothers you. And he might say, oh no, it's no big deal. Well, it kind of is because you mentioned it, and I can just sense your frustration. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that because, you're right, I did not follow through. So for him, who's aversion to have any anger towards the boss, we've created an experience that I'm okay with that. Does that?
Sort of. This would be a typical thing. Like I have people come to me and they want me to micromanage their decisions, and I'll say, tell me your thought process. And they'll tell it to me, and I'll say, you are using or you are not using good thought process. Run, do it. I don't need to be involved in this. You can do this or something.
Does that fix it?
Usually.
Then you have your answer.
Okay.
By you not stepping in and direct is great, and that reinforces initiative.
Okay.
Even when I see some things they can do, I try to either pull it out of them, or I will take part of what they're doing and let them run with that, and then maybe I'll mention something later on. That will reinforce that I don't have to keep running. So when they come to me, it's like what you said. Those sound like some great ideas.
Here's a formula I use, Al, for this. I think we have to empower autonomy and we frustrate dependency.
Yes.
Okay, talk about it. That's a great idea.
He comes up to you and says, how do you add 1 + 1? And the guy's got an MBA. And you go, there's a problem here. So you go, I think you're really a smart guy and you have lots of mojo and lots of ability. And I want to tell you, I see that and I want to encourage that in you. And I'm also going to walk away now. I'm frustrating this person's dependency because that person is in a regressive position with you. You make it easier. You know everything. You can cut through all the anxiety and all the stuff I got to think through. But they have to do it. But they're looking at you because they're regressed and you're a shortcut because you've got all the experience. And you've got to say, yeah, got to go now. Hope I helped. You're frustrating their dependency and it causes them to grow up. So every good leader knows I empower your autonomy, I frustrate your dependency.
I don't want to distract here, but what about when it goes bad and there's a big boo-boo and you kind of empowered them?
That's your problem. The leader, every leader has to say, so my cost of doing business is developing top people, and it's going to cost me something. They're going to lose money, they're going to lose deals, they're going to bug people and alienate people. But for me to get so I can walk away from here and have a life, it's going to cost me X in those things in their learning curve. And if I can't do that, I go back to micromanaging, and I promise you, you will never get out of the office. It's the cost of doing business.
When that piece happens,
Yeah.
I will then sit down with them, and I'm not going to be angry, upset, and frustrated. And then I'll say, okay, I know this is a tough thing. Let's just kind of just talk about.
Let's walk through it.
Right, and then they feel I'm okay when they fail, so I don't make that difficult. But they then learn, and we can teach and grow and develop better skills.
Yeah.
From
You're kind of wiggling. What's your?
Well, it's just funny because I live this every single day with Ed. I really do. There's the empowerment of autonomy. Yes, go ahead. I've made mistakes. I've screwed things up.
Are you saying that, or is Ed saying that?
No, I'm saying
Okay.
this. So there's been times where things have gone awry. That wasn't the best decision. Probably the biggest thing that he's done is allowed me to do that. Now, sometimes his reaction to it, I wish it was different. But then he also, so he does this a lot. He empowers the autonomy and frustrates the dependency. Because my thing is, and it's exactly right, it's so easy for me just to say, hey, Ed, what should we do here? And he's learning to say, figure it out, you'll be fine, you can do this.
One day he wants to be out of the office, and
Yeah.
you're the key, but he can't get out of the office until he does this with you.
But there's back steps and backpedaling, and then there's times when he takes over a lot of micromanaging, then he'll be back out again.
So
you have to
he's
have
still
somebody
kind
that
of
can
trying
go
to
up.
figure out this rhythm
Yeah,
with you too.
it's still trying to figure out the rhythm piece, but
Okay.
it's actually
Good.
an interesting dance.
Good. It's and very helpful. It's how you develop people.
Okay, now in this situation, can Thomas and Ed help one another? Because if they talk about this, and Thomas, you say, okay, here's what I seen you do, Ed, just to help him personally with that. I mean, because you'll get that
Yeah.
type of relationship. Is that right?
Well,
Or this
also,
is how I felt.
But also, Ed's an LCP, so he's a total growing person. He's got a highly developed observing ego. So for Thomas to go, I want to meet your objectives.
Yeah.
I know I'm your key guy, and I want to help you get where you want to go. But when you went and took back the inventory thing, kind of like took the wind out of my sails, and I don't think you can get where you want to go. Ed's going to go, did it again.
Yeah.
So he needs Thomas's feedback.
Yeah.
On those things.
And that's where you ideally want to eventually get with all of your direct reports, that you have that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
It sharpens you,
It-
and it sharpens.
Maurice, you're exactly right. Ed needs Thomas's feedback as a key guy to say, if you want to go where I think you want to go, you got to stop pulling this stuff back.
And there are times when I don't do it yet.
Yeah.
But I'm much better at it.
Why don't
you? My own crap. I mean, it's my own crap. It's my own stuff that I'm, whether it's,
It's a food thing, Richard.
Yeah,
okay, it's food. So
yeah. I mean, the safety thing could be a large part of it, but again, it's just
it's. Don't you think it's probably, if I push the authority figure too far, I'll get the backlash of rage.
Yeah.
And so I stay within the lanes because I don't want that.
Good leaders are so attracted when you tell them, hey, if you get where I think you want to go, this is how I felt. That they would be really attracted to that.
But
And they'll
believe it
like
or
that.
not, this will not change his behavior, because you've got to do it experientially, which is what you're doing in here, which is why you're saying more. So you can have all these wonderful words, it won't. He's too afraid.
Yeah, okay, I understand now.
But now, as he deals with his anger and deals with some of the shame things, he's just automatically doing it, and that's where you guys have to
as
get.
Thomas builds up safety, then the risk-taking stuff gets more in place, and with less conflict, he goes, okay, I don't want you doing that. It's not going to get you where you want to go, and it frustrates me, and then it's safer and safer and safer,
Okay,
and it builds
I
on itself.
understand it, and Thomas had it figured out. It's totally, when you said it's me. I understand now.
Who are you? Are you Ed or Thomas?
I'm Tom.
Okay.
And it's
On this
tough,
situation
it's tough
right
to
now.
do it the other way. That is
Yeah.
difficult.
All right. I got to get back to content.
Okay, there we
I
go.
know
Yeah,
what, but what you're going to do is we want to keep doing this. Then I'm going to be
Cover
get back and you go. You got 1 minute. You're going to make it my fault. And so
This is good stuff.
I want to.
I wouldn't do
How do you
that.
feel about
This is
that?
good
I
stuff.
feel.
This is really good
I'm
stuff.
not pushing you
I'm
down.
in a
Get
grief
He knows
process
where
because
you
I
want to go.
expect to do things.
Hey,
I have to give it up. I have
He's
to
going to help
grieve
you
it.
get where you want to go.
In defense of John, looking at the rest of it, I think we're going to get to some of what all of us are hitting on. Because, yeah, there are two more questions I
Yeah.
want to ask, but
All right, yeah, I will get to a lot of this, guys.
Do
all
not
the-
rescue poor John. Hey, fragilizing the obstacles.
I'm sorry. Richard was clarifying reality, and I know that's hard for you, so I won't. Okay.
I can't get away with anything.
All right. Fragilizing, these are the big obstacles. And I don't have to beat the drum about fragilizing. I just see it in leaders all across the country. You guys still, I mean, don't feel alone. It's a huge issue. Is the fear that I will break or defunction someone. That my aggression, my truth, my challenge, I'll either break you or defunction you so that you won't function at high levels. And remember, guys, the whole thing about fragilizing, there's that fragile is very, very different from reactive. Just because somebody walks out the door and says you're a jerk, or starts crying, or says, there you go, you're just like my dad, or you're a negative person, and has reactions, that doesn't mean they're fragile. It means they're reactive. They're emotional, and they're somewhat manipulative. We have our people train us by being reactive to stay off our butts. That's what your people are doing. Steve, you have a strong reaction right now.
Well, I'm just feeling a phone on the desk, and
Yeah, I am too. I think it's
not mine.
yours.
I think it's yours.
Oh, man. Oh, my stuff.
Wow.
Oh.
It should be. No, that's not me.
Oh. Somebody's phone was.
I'm on silent, but yeah. Anyway, it was reactive people. Reactive people, guys. Reactive people train you to back off by whatever they know triggers you: anger or persecution, or feeling like a victim, or you don't understand me. And you've got to watch that. You've got to push ahead on that, or you'll never have your power. Second one, love and power unintegrated. What I meant was that by that was that a lot of times you'll be in a situation where you hang out with people and you get along, kind of what you and I were doing in Colorado, and you're just, everything's great, and then you got to go in the confrontation mode, and all the relationship goes away, and you become this, okay, I got to tell you the truth here, and your relational peace is inaccessible. I remember doing that one time. I was somebody really liked me being with, and I had to tell him something hard, and I said, and this is what I see, and he went, "Who are you?" And I went, "What do you mean I'm me?" He says, "No, you're not the guy you were 5 minutes ago." What he was saying was, I got cold, I got careful, I got reserved, I got businesslike, and I remember thinking, he's right. I'm not me. I'm not integrated. So one of the things you've got to work on is I've got to be highly relational and highly direct. Highly relational and highly direct. That's what integration is. That's why one of my favorite Psalms in the Bible is Psalm 85, verse 10.
Yeah.
It talks about God, how integrated God is. Psalm 85:10, it says that in God, righteousness and peace have kissed each other. God's righteousness, which is His directness and His truth and His power, and God's peace, which is His love and relationship, they're touching, they're integrated, they're friends. And that's what you have to be.
Yeah.
So watch it.
What was that verse again?
Psalm 85, verse 10.
Oh, yeah, I was saying that gets clunky for me sometimes.
It-
I'm loving, and then I start to.
And it shuts off, and you don't become a
Uh,
jerk, but you just get cold and inaccessible.
Yeah.
But it's hard to keep warm eye contact and sometimes even joke with people while you tell them hard truth, but you have to do that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they get this whole "who are you" bipolar experience. They need to
Yeah.
know that you're representing God here.
Yeah, and you
You
lose
said
trust.
highly-
I've lost trust with people.
Yeah.
I said highly relational.
And highly direct. Highly relational, and it's not easy to do. You got to role play, you got to work it, but it's doable. I'm a lot better than I used to be. Letter C, power versus other control. That just has to do with power is about your power, not about making people do things. If you look in Galatians 5, for example, remember the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, power, and then love, joy, peace. Then it says self-control. Self-control. The Bible never says that other control is a fruit of the Spirit. It's self-control. Powerful people they're controlling their own power. Now, that doesn't mean I can't influence. I had a very tough conversation with an LCP who had some real issues, and very, very accomplished woman. But I had to be very direct, and there's something I wanted to make some decisions. And later she came back and she said, "You pushed me too hard." And I said, "Okay, I don't want to push you too hard. What happened?" She goes, "Well, I could tell you wanted me to make this decision." I said, "I did. I was up front. I think you need to make this business decision." And she says, "Well, you're taking advantage of your position." And I said, "Okay, let me listen to that. Maybe I was." I said, "In my mind, I was affirming what a good business person you are, and I was pushing hard because I think you can be pushed hard." And she went, "You were?" I said, "Yeah, I think you can do this." And she kind of like misinterpreted my, let's explore this, let's look at this, my influence gene. I mean, I've got some of what Chris has got. I've got that influence piece as like controlling her. And finally I said, "No, you can make any choice you want to. I'm really okay with either choice, but I need to have my say about this decision. So don't be afraid of influencing guys, but be afraid of controlling. When somebody's clear about what they will and won't do, then you have to say, then I have to go another direction. But don't be afraid of influence. That's not controlling. Influencers are good leaders, but they protect other person's choice." Okay, skills. Some good things to develop your power, to have more than you had before. Put your opinions into a relationship. Power comes in. Power is always done in a relational context. So learn how to, in a conversation, tell people what you want and need and think is important, whether that's politics or money or theology or parenting or your strategy. But some of you guys are good listeners, but you don't put your own truth in the relationship. At the end of every business day, you should have had some significant relationship with, I don't mean your employees because they have to hear you, but somebody you kind of respect. Do more than listen to them. Put your opinion out. Now, I don't really see it that way, or no, I don't like the food, or no, I'd go a different way. And healthy people will like that, and we can roll with that. But the more you put your opinions in a relationship, that will develop power. The second one, I've been researching this, very interesting. Physical power is a trigger. That mind-body research, the more you do physical sorts of stuff, the more it helps you to feel confident about your own aggression. So that's where all the working out stuff comes in, and the cardio and all that. Your body, as you give your body, basically, as you get out of your head, because we have to, and get into your body, you develop more emotional power. So that's where all working out and good health comes from. Third, push someone and check in. Do you remember when you were playing football? Remember this word? Anybody remember the sled?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the function and purpose of the sled?
Well, 5-person sled's coordinated function of the team to move it now.
Because it takes 5, right?
Right.
Right. And okay, the team aspect aside, why is the sled there?
Resistance.
It's resistance. You're supposed to push against this immovable object, and you're supposed to be this irresistible force, so when you get on the field, you can do the same thing with humans, right? The sled is resistance, just like weight training. And so, in some safe relationship you have, push somebody that you're kind of used to backing off from when they get a little heated, and push a little further, and then check back in. Now, I don't mean somebody that's going to, leave the business and take half your business away, or come at you with a machete. But somebody that you're a little scared of, all they got to do is amp up a little bit, or you can see this look in their eyes. Keep pushing forward and say, it's really important we talk about this. And then check back in and say, how is that for us? Then you start to find out, it's kind of like Thomas, you find out where the lanes really are. Most of you, I think, work, if there's like 12 lanes, you're probably working in about 4, and you think that's where the edges are. And it's probably wider than you think, unless you've got, not Obama, but Osama bin Laden in your life, and you watch out for the terrorism. Most of you don't push as far as you should in your relationships. And I want you to be a little more pushy. When they say, well, this bothers me, then say, instead of saying, okay, I don't want to bother you, go, it does? Why? Well, it bothers me asking that. Oh, really? I don't want to do that. Why is that? You keep pushing forward instead of like, oh, don't want to upset things.
But how do you develop? I mean, that just comes so natural to you. When I started pushing
Ho,
somebody,
ho. No, it didn't, Jeff.
Well, how'd you do it? Just practice? I mean,
I worked my butt. Jeff, I worked my butt off like I want you to. It did not come naturally. I had a lot of people. What?
That's not easy.
This table is not about easy.
What do you mean it's not easy?
Dude, he's gonna go off on you. Don't say that.
What if I do think it's easy?
What I want to take you through is we're trying to get the concept down, certainly so you can get the paradigm, but then we'll do some stretching exercises where when somebody amps up a bit, you go, okay, what's going on here? What's going on between us? Why is that going on? And you become this solid rock of loving aggression, and they have to deal with you. And either they have a bigger tantrum, or they go, well, because I'm frustrated, or because I'm scared, or because you make me feel powerless.
Think like that.
You'll get
Here.
You'll get there because you need the contact. All right. And letter D. Letter D. Resolve passive recovery. Here's a big one for you guys. When you go home, a certain percentage of the time when you go home, you sit on your butt and you watch TV and you eat your Cheetos or you go on Facebook or whatever. And that's called passive
Must be talking
recovery.
about you, Samus.
And passive recovery is when I use home is my hospital. Now, a lot of times we sanctify that and say that's a good thing because home is my refuge. Not so, Victory Breath. That is not, passive recovery is not the way to go. You need to, when you get home, sure, maybe you need to go take a power nap and, take a walk or, do whatever, go get a glass of wine or whatever. But your recovery at home needs to be active. Like that lower book, Powerful Engagement about energy. You need to be doing stuff that's like, I don't know, taking a walk with your spouse or working out or working on a project or calling a friend or doing something active. And that's how you get your energy back. Passive recovery means I'm in ICU. And what you do is then you just sit on your butt, then you sleep, and you get up and you work another 12 hours the next day and you get passive recovery again. And you know what that means? It means one of two things. The problem is not home. It means something bad's happening at work. Either one is you've got no input of energy. You got no supportive relationships, you're not calling anybody, you're just kind of like, everybody that you're talking to is sucking you dry. Power drain, power drain, power drain, power drain, power drain. So you got no input. And secondly, you have no boundaries. So you are allowing other people's crises and problems and questions and what's 1 + 1. You don't have any space for yourself. So you're not in charge of your time and you're not getting any energy. So by the time 5:30 rolls around, how do you feel inside? Drained, empty, and it's all physics. So then you go home and it's passive recovery, and then the kids or the spouse goes, what are you, just a lump of protoplasm? Yeah, pretty much. But if you will get more energy during the day and good input and set better boundaries and frustrate people's dependencies and help them with their own crises, guess what happens to your energy when you get home? Passive recovery is a symptom of not being in charge of yourself at work. Chris?
So are you saying, because I do that, I own that. Are you saying that doing that is like you're just trying to get your mind off of it, is not helping?
Isolation.
No, I'm not saying that at all. We need to get our mind off.
But you're saying take the
You don't
energy,
have a mind when you're in passive recovery.
Yeah, so take the energy and pour it into other things that are productive and are healthy.
No.
I'm not saying that
Things
either.
that energize you, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's
To
it's
indulge,
Like go on a
physics.
walk with my wife or whatever, that, or go work out for a while, that.
if that's fun.
Well, even at work.
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, but even at work, you've said in previous times that we need to focus on the things that fill us up.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you can't get a deep connection at your food level, at a conference boardroom. You can't sit there with your people and say, by the way, my inner child's hurting you, buddy. You can't do that. That doesn't work. That's for night times and weekends and that you can't do that work. But what I'm saying is, don't change home, change work, and then work changes home. I'm not making any sense.
Mm-hmm. Not very, I'm not sure.
All right. Look at me. Think of yourself as a battery. And that battery's got to get good stuff. So you're working 8 to 5. So take your breaks, say no to people, go do something fun, have a good conversation with Salmons for 5 minutes or whatever during work. When you get home, you'll have more to offer yourself and Sandy. Did that make any sense, or is that confusing?
You're saying combine it at the work thing so that you set the boundaries and you do that, and then you're more energized.
Yeah, but if don't hear me saying go ahead and let your work life suck and then go home and take a walk with your wife. Because you're going to suck your wife dry and she's going to hate her life too. This is not about, your home life is a symptom of the work life in this aspect. Cart, horse. Is that confusing?
No, that's clear now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Set the boundaries, get the good input.
The other thing that you'll hate is they've done research.
Work out here.
If you try to watch TV as a way to relax and recover energy, it actually decreases your energy in watching.
Makes you
TV.
stupid.
Yeah, the research is really passive.
Yeah,
Passive entertainment doesn't fill you up with energy.
No, it takes.
Take your power nap, but less TV, less Facebook.
I found that like after preaching 3 times on Sunday, I get like my natural is just to go home and just be like, oh. I found if I work out right after I preach, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's all back.
Yeah.
All the
it's
energy's
really
back.
amazing. Here's the other bad news. This is bad for us at night, and I'm just a total reader, but the
Light.
what do they call them? The lumens or
Yeah.
that this screws up the melatonin in our brains,
There's
so
a big-
that our brain thinks, oh, it's wake up time.
Big report out on that.
So they're saying read a real book
Uh-huh.
because, and I've been doing it, and I hate it because I love this, but it's like I'm getting to sleep better. Anyway, all right. Here's a question.
Now, question on this. On D in the outline, you said maintain 4 in quotes, but we're talking about resolve, pass, recovery. How does
Yeah,
maintain
because
4?
your outline
What?
says this.
Result passive recovery.
Oh, I screwed up.
Okay.
Mark out maintain 4
Got it.
and put resolve passive recovery.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Say that again.
This was from another
Letter
outline.
D. Well, it's just when I started studying passive recovery, I thought that's much more important than the other part.
Yeah.
So mark out maintain 4 and write the words resolve passive recovery.
What's the conclusion?
Well, the
That's the
conclusion.
next point.
The conclusion is
It's over.
is you guys have wattage that is unused that'll make you feel better, feel more alive, get more done. God meant you for power. Two thought questions. You can use these for homework items. What were your models of power as a person? And what did you learn for better or worse? Some of you learned to run away from powerful people. Some of you learned I don't have any. Some of you learned somebody believed in me. Secondly, what is your greatest challenge to being a leader with healthy power? What can you do to experience this? Okay. So, Moffat, you see why I thought that was so relevant to where
Absolutely.
your life is?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Huge.
Well, we have plenty of time left if you have some other discussion points.
I've got another question. On your thing on origins of power, the safety pushing against external and normalizing risk, how would you take, if this is origins of power, how would you take somebody like Hitler and say, where is he fitting in this thing of abusing his power?
Well, since I look at power as a non-moral construct, it's driven by love or it's driven by bad stuff, that somehow he got those things. But power wasn't the problem with him. It was, I think it was the devil, really. But the thing that drove his power was basically control and hatred, right? He wasn't driven by love. So somehow in his background, he got love and control confused. But then the power, I can see people who are Hitlers, who are love-driven, who are just as powerful as he is. So it's the value that drives the energy.
I ran into a little conflict with power versus other control. So you said, don't be afraid to influence, but don't control or decide what they should do. In other words, so a lot of my influence has been, well, what you should do is, right, and that's bad, but I should, so if they say, well, what I want to do is whatever, then shift that influence to say, I support that. I mean, how does that work? Because, I mean, again, I can blow that up, and I feel like I'm trying to drive their life, and that's not good influence.
Would an example be is I need you to make a decision on this,
Right?
so like force somebody to make a decision.
But then John backs away as far as what you can decide whether you make a decision or not. So we can push, but then you then back away.
Yeah.
I see. So you need to make a decision on this.
Yeah.
But then I don't say, look, I think you should, this is the obvious thing, why don't you, or even say, you need to make a decision between this and this. I should just back one step further and say you just need to make a decision?
No, not at all.
Okay. Because I've
Here's the
crossed
two-
that line the wrong way.
No, it's the right question. Here's the two things I always tell people to do. You have to say this. Hey, I'm for your choice. It's your choice. I'm totally for that. You have to front load that so they don't feel like you're being the controlling parent or the manipulator. Your choice is your choice. But also, are you okay exploring X? I love that word explore.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Because you got my opinion. Okay, I want you to spend that $10 million on this project. And you got their opinion, and they don't want to spend that $10 million. And if you stay there, you're just going to get a power struggle. You've got to have the exploring space here.
Yeah.
Which is, let's forget my opinion and your opinion. Let's see how it would play out. Play the movie. What would that be? What are the conflicts? What are the fears? What are the opportunities? And you put them into space and they go, okay, John the salesman is not pushing and pushing and pushing and going, okay, well that doesn't matter because you could have done this. I don't feel the agenda anymore. I know John wants this and I want this, but we're together exploring this. This is extremely powerful as a leader to use this. You follow me?
You state their opinion, and then you state your opinion. You say, so where are we in between? Is that how you?
I don't even say that. I just go, when I see it going into what he's talking about, they start kicking back. They think, are you pushing hard? Forget all that. Let's assume that we're just exploring this, that I don't want anything and you don't want anything. Look at the realities. And then they feel this openness to you.
There's a relief.
Because they don't feel like you've got an agenda waiting to... Remember like think about when you're an insurance salesman, and I love insurance salesmen. Some of my best friends are insurance salesmen, but when they sat down with you to talk about your policy, and every objection, their training had been, okay, so you say X and they say Y. You say X and they say Y. And they say it so fast you go, well, there's a script here. And you go, you just hate that. You get rid of that. You just say, let's explore.
And when they go to exploration and you do, you can't pull your agenda back in then once you hear what you want to hear. You got.
You know what I do? I get to the point where I go.
You can't close it.
Either they make the decision, or I'll say, have I really understood your point of view? And they'll go, not really. Okay, let me hear it again. And I finally go, you'll have your point of view. They'll go, yeah, you get it. Okay, so where are we now? But until you do that, people are going to. They have that. It's basically an unconscious pushback against the parent. Against the parent telling me it's a parent dynamic. If you got to get rid of that.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that we can say as leaders, you need to do this.
You should never use you need ever to anybody in your life again.
You said
that's good.
That's a pathological
it's a
statement.
bad thing to say.
Yeah, that's
because think about how people feel when you say that.
It's terrible.
Who died and made you God? What do you mean I need? You can say, I need for you to, I'd like for you to, I think it'd be a good idea. But you need is, who's really bad about that is moms. Moms just kind of, well, you need to eat your food. What do you mean I need? It's my body, I need to eat your food. You'll be in timeout for the rest of your life if you don't eat your food. But stay away from the you need, because you pick up so much pushback when you say you need. Good point, Maurice.
John, you really need to end.
And then you transcend those kind of comments and you love that person and forgive them.
Anyway, it's hard.
Okay, so keep your power, develop your power. It's relationally based. It's a good thing. All right, guys?
Okay, take 5 and
Take your 5.
be on the other side. I have extra Bibles if anyone needed more Bibles.